All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to dive into a really powerful story from ancient times. We're looking at the book of Esther, specifically chapter 4.
That's right. It's a chapter that's just packed with drama, but also incredibly relevant lessons about courage, maybe divine timing, and collective action that really speak to us today.
Exactly. So our mission here is to, walk through the key events of Esther chapter 4 and then really unpack how the wisdom in this ancient text can, encourage obedience to a higher calling and maybe strengthen our faith, our trust in God even now.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. So let's set the scene. We start with Mordecai. He learns about this terrible decree from Haman.
And this wasn't just some minor issue. We're talking about a plan to wipe out all the Jewish people across the entire Persian Empire.
A devastating plan. And Mordecai's reaction is just instantaneous and so visceral. The text says he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, went right out into the city crying loudly, bitterly.
Yeah, a very public display. He even went right up to the king's gate. This wasn't quiet grief. It was a profound statement of despair.
And it wasn't just him, was it? This grief was widespread.
Oh, absolutely. The text makes that clear. It says in every single province, wherever this decree arrived, there was huge mourning among the Jewish people. Fasting, weeping, wailing. Many were in sackcloth and ashes, just like Mordecai.
It's a whole community in crisis.
Yeah.
But Queen Esther, Mordecai's cousin, she's initially in the dark about all this.
Right. She's in the palace, kind of insulated. When her attendants tell her about Mordecai's state outside the gate, she's deeply distressed. Her first reaction is actually quite human.
She sends him clothes, right? Hoping he'll just, snap out of it or at least look presentable.
Exactly. Like, here, put these on. But he refuses, flat out refuses. And that refusal, that must have been a real alarm bell for Esther.
It signals something much deeper is wrong.
Definitely. So she sends Hathach, a trusted servant the king assigned to her, to find out what on earth is going on.
And Mordecai doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He tells Hathach everything, the whole plot, even the specific amount of money Haman promised the king's treasury to, get permission to destroy the Jews.
He even gives Hathach a copy of the written decree.
Yes, proof. And then comes the crucial part. He charges Hathach to show it to Esther, explain everything, and specifically to tell her she must go to the king, plead for her people, make a request.
Wow. So a direct command, basically. Go intercede.
A huge ask. And dangerous. Which brings us to Esther's immediate reaction. It wasn't, okay, I'm on it.
No, not at all. She hesitates, and you can totally understand why, right? She sends a message back reminding Mordecai about the court law.
The deadly law. Anyone, man or woman, who goes into the king's inner court without being summoned. Well, there's only one outcome.
Death. Unless the king holds out the golden scepter. That's the only exception.
Life or death hanging on that gesture. And then she adds this chilling detail.
She says, but I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. 30 days.
Imagine that. Your people are facing annihilation, and the king, your husband, hasn't asked to see you for a month. The sense of isolation, the fear, it must have been immense.
Totally. So she's terrified, she feels alone, and she knows the risk.
Which just sets the stage perfectly for Mordecai's reply. He receives her message of fear and hesitation, and he doesn't back down. He sends back this incredibly powerful challenge.
This is the famous part, isn't it?
It is. He basically says, don't think for a second that just because you're in the palace, you'll escape when all other Jews are killed.
Ooh, start.
Very. He goes on, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish.
So he's saying God's plan will happen with or without you, but you'll be judged for your inaction.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then the kicker. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this.
Wow. Wow. Talk about putting things in perspective. Your position isn't an accident. It's a potential calling.
It completely reframes her situation from victim to potential agent.
And it works. Esther's response changes completely. That hesitation turns into, incredible courage.
It really does. She sends back instructions. Go, gather all the Jews in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do.
So she's calling for community support for spiritual preparation.
Yes. And then she declares her decision. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish.
Chilling. Just absolute resolve. Knowing the cost, but choosing to act anyway. That's That's faith meeting action right there.
It's such a pivotal moment. And there's a whole chapter, this whole interaction. It's just brimming with timeless wisdom, things that really hit home for us today when we think about how we respond to challenges, how we live out our convictions.
Absolutely. Let's unpack some of that. First off, Mordecai's challenge itself, right? The power of your voice, your platform.
Exactly. The big takeaway there is that silence, especially in a crisis, can be incredibly dangerous. Mordecai is essentially telling Esther, and maybe us too, don't stay quiet when speaking up could literally save lives.
It's a call to use whatever influence you have, even if it feels scary.
Yeah, and that applies everywhere, doesn't it? Whether you're leading a big company or, just part of a family or a local community group, if you have a voice, if you have some standing, the story suggests you have a responsibility to use it, to protect people, to advocate. It's about obedience to that higher purpose you might sense.
It's seeing your influence not just as personal gain, but as a tool for good.
Precisely. Which leads right into the second theme Mordecai brings up.
That idea of divine positioning
Mm-hmm.
for such a time as this.
Exactly. The idea that maybe, just maybe, you're in your current situation for a specific reason. Esther's being queen wasn't just luck or circumstance in Mordecai's view. It was potentially divine timing.
So the challenges we face or the positions we hold might not be random.
That's what the text strongly implies. Your influence isn't accidental. That phrase, for such a time as this, it still gives me chills because it asks you to consider. Is my current job, my relationship, my particular skill set, maybe even my struggles, part of a bigger plan?
Thinking about it that way can really strengthen your faith, can't it? Trusting that there's a sovereignty, a purpose behind where you find yourself.
It absolutely can. It shifts your perspective from why me to what for.
Okay, so we have using your voice and recognizing your potential purpose. But Esther was still terrified. Which brings us to courage, right? Courage in the face of real fear.
Yeah, this is crucial. Her decision wasn't fearless. She clearly says, if I perish, I perish. She knew the stakes.
So her bravery wasn't just like innate confidence. Where does it come from?
Well, the story suggests it was rooted in a few things, her conviction, certainly, but also that spiritual preparation, the fasting and the knowledge that her whole community was fasting and praying with her.
Community support, that's huge.
It really is. And the lesson for us today is powerful. Don't let fear paralyze you. Fear is normal, Esther felt it acutely. But she chose courage anyway.
Choosing courage as an action, not just a feeling.
Exactly. In our world, we fear different things. Maybe a backlash, losing status, simple discomfort. But the principle is the same. Sometimes acting on your faith, on your convictions, requires taking a real risk. Esther encourages us to do it anyway.
And she didn't just jump in unprepared. That brings us to the last theme, doesn't it? Preparation and community.
Yes. She didn't just react impulsively to Mordecai's challenge. Her first step was, okay, we need to prepare, fast, pray.
So the ancient wisdom is, don't just charge into battle. Prepare spiritually, mentally.
Right. Preparation is part of obedience, part of faithful action. For us, that might mean praying, yes, but also planning, strategizing, seeking counsel, not just reacting emotionally.
And relying on others. She explicitly asked the Jews in Susa to fast with her.
That community aspect is key. She didn't try to be a lone hero. She drew strength from her people. It's a reminder for us, in our own crises, don't isolate yourself. Invite people in. Ask for support, for prayer.
And be there for others when they need it too, right?
Absolutely. That collective action, that mutual support, it really strengthens everyone's faith and ability to act courageously, trusting that God can work through that community.
So when you pull it all together, Esther 4 is just this incredibly rich story about faith meeting action, conviction meeting courage.
That's a great way to put it. It reminds us that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about deciding to move forward despite the fear.
Trusting that maybe, just maybe, God has put you right where you are for a reason.
Exactly. And the really powerful thought from Mordecai and Esther's actions is this. When the stakes are incredibly high, you don't always have to feel perfectly ready or qualified. Sometimes you just have to be willing to obey that nudge, that calling.
Willingness over readiness. That's profound. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope exploring Esther's story has sparked some thought about courage, purpose, and faith in your own life.
And maybe we can leave you with this question to ponder. Based on Mordecai's challenge, what such a time as this might you be facing right now, where your unique voice, your position, your influence is needed?